जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय कृष्ण बलराम जय कृष्ण बलराम जय ललिता विशाखा जय राधे श्याम ललिता विशाखा जय राधे श्याम जय गौरनिताय 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 जय गौरनिताय जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परवेकष्ट से जवान की शील ऐसी भक्त में स्वामी प्रपाद की। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परवेकष्ट अष्टोशत डिवाइन की शील भक्ति से थाम सरसिंह गोसाई महाराज की। अनंत कोट वैष्णव भक्तवृंद की। नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की। प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्री वासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गो गोपीनाथ श्याम को राधा किन गोवर्धन की। वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की। नवदीप मायपुर धाम की। गंगा मैया की। यमुना मैया की। तुलसी देवी की। भक्ति देवी की। श्रीमद् भगवद्गीता यथारूप की। निताई गौर प्रेमनंदे। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Hare Krishna. I welcome you all in this evening session of Bhagavad Gita. Today we shall read the text number, chapter number 2 and text number 14. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुमिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति सुबदन्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांच श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगण रघुनाथं वितं तं सजीवं सावधैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखावेन्तांच। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रमाणप्रिये। वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। Hare Krishna. Text number 14, chapter number 2. Contents of Gita summarized. मेरे पीछे please repeat after me. mātrā-sparśās kaunteya śītoṣṇa-sukha-duḥkha-dāḥ āgamāpāyino anityāḥ tāṁs titikṣasva Bharata mātrā-sparśās kaunteya
mātrā-sparśās kaunteya
śītoṣṇa-sukha-duḥkha-dāḥ
śītoṣṇa-sukha-duḥkha-dāḥ
āgamāpāyino anityāḥ
āgamāpāyino nityās
tāṁs bhārata
tāṁs titikṣasva Bharata
mātrā-sparśās kaunteya
mātrā-sparśās kaunteya
śītoṣṇa-sukha-duḥkha-dāḥ
śītoṣṇa-sukha-duḥkha-dāḥ
āgamāpāyino anityās
āgamāpāyino nityās
tāṁs titikṣasva Bharata
tāṁs titikṣasva Bharata
mātrā-sparśās kaunteya śītoṣṇa-sukha-duḥkha-dāḥ āgamāpāyino anityās tāṁs titikṣasva Bharata mātrā-sparśās kaunteya śītoṣṇa-sukha-duḥkha-dāḥ āgamāpāyino nityās tāṁs titikṣasva Bharata
mātrā-sparśās kaunteya
mātrā-sparśās kaunteya
śītoṣṇa-sukha-duḥkha-dāḥ
śītoṣṇa-sukha-duḥkha-dāḥ
āgamāpāyino nityās
āgamāpāyino nityās
tāṁs titikṣasva Bharata
tāṁs titikṣasva Bharata. Mataji's mātrā-sparśās kaunteya śītoṣṇa-sukha-duḥkha-dāḥ āgamāpāyino nityās tāṁs titikṣasva Bharata. mātrā-sparśās kaunteya śītoṣṇa-sukha-duḥkha-dāḥ āgamāpāyino anityās tāṁs titikṣasva Bharata. Word to word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki. mātrā-sparśās
mātrā-sparśās
sensory perception
sensory perception
to
two
but to means only
only
kaunteya
kaunteya
O son of Kuntī
O son of Kuntī
śīta
śīta
winter
winter
uṣṇa
uṣṇa
summer
summer
sukha
sukha
happiness
happiness
dukkha
dukkha
and pain
and pain
the
the
giving
giving
āgama
āgama
appearing
appearing
apāyinaḥ
apāyinaḥ
disappearing
disappearing
anityās
anityāḥ
non-permanent
non-permanent
tāṁs
tāṁs
all of them
all of them
titikṣasva
titikṣasva
just try to tolerate
just try to tolerate
Bharata
Bharata
O descendant of Bharata dynasty.
Bharata
Dynasty. Translation. O son of Kuntī, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, O sign of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. You repeat after me. O son of Kuntī,
O son of Kuntī,
the non-permanent appearance
the non-permanent appearance
of happiness
of happiness
and distress
and distress
and their disappearance
and their disappearance
in due course
in due course
are like the appearance
are like the appearance
and disappearance
and disappearance
of winter and summer seasons.
of winter and summer season.
They arise from sense perception,
They rise from sense perception,
O sign of Bharata,
or son of Bharata,
and one must learn to tolerate them
and one must learn to tolerate them
without being disturbed.
without being disturbed.
Purport. This divine guest, Srila Prabhupada ki. In the proper discharge of duty, one has to learn to tolerate non-permanent appearances and disappearances of happiness and distress. According to Vedic injunction, one has to take his bath early in the morning, even during the month of January, February. It is very cold at that time. But in spite of that, a man who abides by the religious principles does not hesitate to take his bath. Similarly, a woman does not hesitate to cook in the kitchen in the months of May and June, the hottest part of the summer season. One has to execute his duty in spite of climatic inconveniences. Similarly, to fight is the religious principle of Kshatriyas, and although one has to fight with some friend or relative, one should not deviate from his prescribed duty. One has to follow the prescribed rules and regulations of religious principles in order to rise up to the platform of knowledge. Because by knowledge and devotion only, one can liberate himself from the clutches of Maya. The two different names of address given to the Arjun are also significant. To address him as Kaunteya signifies his great blood relations from his mother's side, and to address him as Bharata signifies his greatness from his father's side. From both the sides, he is supposed to have a great heritage. A great heritage brings responsibility in the matter of proper discharge of duties. Therefore, he cannot avoid fighting. Hare Krishna. So here, the appearance of happiness and distress. This is the most important things. And from the previous texts, it is that actually this is because of the knowledge of the soul actually, super soul and nature actually. The knowledge of soul, super soul and nature is very much important actually. And this soul and super soul knowledge is the basis of the elevation to the devotional service. If one does not have the knowledge, means he will be in the environment of the material things actually. When one is attached to the material things, it means that he will be acting for the sense gratification, personal enjoyment actually. The knowledge of this soul is very much important. Without the knowledge of soul actually, one cannot know the relation between the living entities and the Supreme Personality of Godhead actually. This is must actually. One can only know his constitutional position when he is in knowledge of the super soul and soul. It is a must actually. Otherwise, the man will work in this physical environment for his own family, society, country, etc. in a physical manner actually, and he will continue to have the repeated cycle of birth and death. He will not be able to come out of the three modes of material nature. He will be influenced by the three modes of material nature and other things which are not favorable to the living entities actually. This is must actually. This, in the translation, the Prabhupada has said, they arise from the sense perception. Sense perception means, what is the sense perception? Sense perception is the use of our senses to acquire information or the knowledge about the world around us actually, to become acquainted. For what actually? Objects, events, and their features. There are knowledge acquiring senses actually. Sight, touch, hearing, smell, and taste actually. So when these are senses are working actually, when we are not in the knowledge of the soul, or we are ignorant of the soul actually, what we see? We see the useless things actually. Just as unnecessary we watch the TVs actually, which are not of useful program actually. We listen to the useless things actually, gossips actually. We waste our time actually. We get association with the non-devotees actually. We get association with the physical world actually. When we are in the knowledge of the soul and super soul actually, then what is there? We get attachment with the Lord Krishna actually. And our attachment with physical world goes on diminishing actually. And a stage come when actually, when you are fully attached to this spiritual world actually, we forget about this physical world actually. Without this actually, soul actually, you cannot move forward to the devotion service actually. How one can say, when you just preaching for actually this devotion service, the knowledge of soul and support soul is a must actually. This is must actually. So what is there? We people are struggling very hard. What for? Just to mitigate our sufferings actually, so that we become happy. But this is not the way actually, because you have to undergo the different kinds of suffering actually. When you work hard actually, you earn money, you think that we will be happy actually, but not actually. This wealth is also the cause of sufferings actually, in some way and others actually. The knowledge of soul is very much essential, and simultaneously the super soul also. Happiness and distress, these are associated factors of material life. They go side by side. If happiness comes, then distress will come actually. So one should learn to tolerate them actually. You cannot restrict them actually. Restrict means कि happiness will not come or distress will not come. We have lot of money actually. No. They will come and go actually. Then what is the way? How to detach them actually? To detach them, one should detach them just from the detaching oneself from material world. And materially, automatically, you will become equipoised to both actually the distress as well as happiness actually. When happiness will come, you will not exhibit it actually. When distress will come, you will not lament to other actually. Generally, what is happiness? Generally, we get something actually favorable, desirable. We are very happy actually. And when we get something undesirable, we are in distress actually. But we are actually, when we are actually in the spiritual position, these things will not agitate to us actually. We are equipoised when we are in the spiritual platform actually. And to reach that stage, we have to practice unbreakable devotion service to the Lord Krishna actually. Without deviation means engaging oneself in the 9 process of devotion service. And how it is possible? Without the knowledge of the super soul and the soul, it is not possible. This is the initial requirement. Chanting, hearing, worshipping, offering, respect, etc. These are actually the 9 process of devotion service. And from these 9 process of devotion service, we can understand how the happiness and distress can be tolerated actually. What is our constitutional position? Our constitutional position is that we are the servant of Lord Krishna and Lord Krishna is our master, Swami. We are his eternal servant actually. But those who do not know about the soul actually, they are ignorant of the relationship with the Lord Krishna actually. That's why they are under distress actually. If we do not believe in the existence of the soul and super soul, our life becomes a hell actually. Because the life in the material world is very bad actually, clear, in all circumstances actually. Happiness is dependent upon relationship with the Lord Krishna. When we know the relationship of the soul and super soul, we are inclined to spiritual knowledge and disinclined to material things. This is the thing actually. You also know that prior to joining this ISKCON organization, we were under the influence of material things actually. We were not knowing much about this soul actually. We were inclined to the material things actually. There is a lot of difference between our earlier life and this life also. In earlier stage, we were just thinking of the passing of the time actually. And nowadays, we think how we can utilize the time in this service of Lord Krishna. We do not wish to miss our Arti, Mangalarti, our lecture, etc. actually. We regularly read actually our transcendental books actually. This is the basic difference actually. We are not going to watch the televisions, etc. actually. We watch our spiritual program. That's the difference actually. Attachment to the material things is temporary, ultimately of no use. No use. Why it is of no use? Because at the end of life, you have to remember the name of Lord Krishna so that you can liberate from this material world. Is not it? When you are in the environment of physical things actually, you will remember only physical things that are at the end of your life. And you cannot liberate, and you have to continue in the process of birth, death, old age and disease. Again and again actually. When we attach to the spiritual environment, We progress for the pleasure of Lord. Means when Lord becomes pleased, we also become pleased and happy. Our main purpose of devotion is that we work for the pleasure of the Lord Krishna. We are surrendered to the Lord Krishna. We are dependent upon His mercy. We never say that actually we are doing this and that. No. We are at the mercy of Lord Krishna. Whatever we do, He inspires as a paramata in our heart. We get inspirations. And you all are very much experienced devotees. You may feel this also. We work for the pleasure of Lord. By practice of yoga, one can eradicate the ignorance of thinking oneself. Thinking oneself means he is in the bodily conception of life. He is not soul, that is a body himself. Supreme. Our actual relationship is eternal love with Krishna. The living entity is meant to render transcendental loving service to the Lord Krishna. The forgetfulness of our sweet relationship with Krishna is called ignorance. And in the ignorance, one is impelled by three modes of material nature. Means under the influence of modes of material nature, which is the main hurdle in the path of liberation to the Golok Dham. You have to get out of the clutches of these three modes of material nature. How? First, by knowledge of the soul and super soul, and then by engaging yourself in the devotion service to the Lord. When devotee mind is purified and comes out of ignorance, he understands that his mind has to be dovetailed with desires of Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the perfect sign of knowledge. Transcendental stage Transcendental knowledge is beyond the perception of the material happiness and distress. When one is under the transcendental stage, he is beyond the perception of the material happiness and distress. As long as we are ignorant of the soul, super soul, we shall continue to remain on the material platform. Material platform is the cause of happiness and distress, which is temporary. And we are subjected to perception of happiness and distress. When we are ignorant of the physical position, we are desired to lord it over the material nature. When we become in the knowledge of soul, super soul and nature, the desire to lord over the material nature is extinguished. Our desire for the material thing is vanishes extinguishes slowly. And desires are dovetailed with those of Supreme Personality Lord. That is a perfectional stage of tolerating the happiness and distress as temporary. In the spiritual stage, means liberated stage, the stage is self-realization. The Lord by nature, full of transcendental happiness. Knowledge of soul and super soul is very confidential and mysterious. And we understand the soul and super soul, their relationship. We elevate slowly in the devotional service of our Lord. Ultimately, surrender ourselves free to Lord. This is a slow process. It is not for the newcomers. Newcomers will do what? He will just learn Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. When we are in the process of chanting the holy name of Lord Krishna, we understand that Bhoktaram yaktapsam sarvalokamahesaram suharda sarvbhuktanam gyatva mam shantim rikshati. The ultimate purpose of all sacrifices of austerity is the Supreme Lord of all planets and demigods and the benefactors and well-wishers of all living entities attain peace from the pangs of material miseries. You have to know maximum about the Lord Krishna actually. This is to get out the miseries of the physical world actually. How? When you attach to the Lord Krishna actually, it means your relation with the physical world will be diminished actually. That you become uninterested actually. When you become uninterested in the physical world, your sufferings will automatically go on lessening actually. They will go less actually. It's a practical thing actually. When we have a relationship with your non-devotees, with your families who are not concerned with the Lord Krishna, they will give you sufferings actually at each and every stage. When you give up them, you will become happy with the devotion to the Lord Krishna actually. You will feel satisfaction. We, the conditioned souls, are within the clutches of illusory energy. We all are anxious to attain peace in the material world. But the people do not know the formula of peace actually. Means we are soul and not this body. This is the formula actually. Soul. Greatest peace formula is simply this. The Lord Krishna is the beneficiary in all the human activities. Man should offer everything to the transcendental service of Lord because he is the proprietor of all planets and the demigods thereon. No one is greater than him. He is the greater than the greatest of all the demigods, Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. Under the spell of illusion, living entities are trying to be Lord of all this survey, but actually they are dominated by the material energy of the Lord. If you are not in the Krishna consciousness, it means you are dominated by the material energy of the Lord Krishna, that is known as Maya. Illusory energy actually. And that is the cause of suffering actually, in this physical world actually. The Lord is the master of material nature and the conditioned souls are under the stringent rules of material nature. Unless one understands these bare facts, it is not possible to achieve peace and real happiness in the world, either individually or collectively. This is the Krishna consciousness. Lord Krishna is the supreme predominator and all living entities, including the great demigods, are his subordinates. It means that is the sign that we should only offer devotion service to the Lord and not his subordinate, so that we can liberate from this material world actually. We have not to worship any demigods actually, only Lord Krishna actually. There are so many people actually who, in the hope of gaining some wealth or physical things, they worship the Lord, they worship the demigods actually. No. We have to worship the Lord Krishna without any desire actually. Because when we worship or do devotion service to Lord Krishna, the Lord Krishna will take care of us actually. He will protect us. He will see our inner desire actually. What is best for us actually. We should totally surrender to the Lord Krishna actually. The question of mental speculation as to how eternal happiness can be achieved, to remain all the time in Krishna consciousness, to work in Krishna consciousness, is to work with complete knowledge of Lord as the predominator. Such work is not different from transcendental knowledge. Direct Krishna consciousness is the Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Yoga is the path leading to the Bhakti Yoga. Krishna consciousness means to work in full knowledge of one's relationship with the Supreme Absolute, and the perfection of this consciousness is full of knowledge of Krishna, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What we do? This is the temple actually of Lord Krishna, Krishna Balram, Sri Radha Shyam, Sri Gaur-Nitāy. This is in our perfect knowledge. This is the aim of life. We come here for the pleasure of Lord Krishna actually. This is the complete knowledge. We come here in the morning to attend the Mangal Arati, Tulsi Arati, and various other activities for chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Minimum 16 rounds of the Japmala. We attend the Bhagavatam class, we attend Bhagavad Gita class, and various other activities. We read our spiritual scriptures actually also. This is for the praise of Lord Krishna actually. To engage our senses, in this service of Lord Krishna actually. Because we know the basis is the soul and super soul actually. Attaining Krishna consciousness by controlling the above-mentioned passions, one remains factually in the transcendental stage or Brahma Nirvana. The eightfold yoga system is automatically practiced in Krishna consciousness. There is an eightfold yoga system actually, just to control the mind actually. But in Krishna consciousness, direct devotion service with Lord Krishna, all the things are automatically achieved actually. Mame vanso jivaloke jiva bhuta sanatana manusasthani indyani prakriti sthani karshati. Living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to the conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with six senses, which includes the mind. When one is in knowledge of the soul actually, then he can understand the things actually. And one is not in the knowledge of soul or ignorant of soul actually or super soul, then he cannot understand. He cannot make progress in the devotion service to the Lord actually. When we are ignorant of soul, super souls and nature, we are in the darkness of ignorance actually. We don't know what is good and what is bad, what to do and what not to do. We fell prey to the material association. Definitely actually, those who are not devotees of Lord Krishna, what they do? They get association of the material things actually. Non-devotees actually. They are wasting their time. But when we know that we are soul and not this body, we become out of ignorance. We can decide what is best for us. When we come to know the living entity is the fragmental part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, eternally, we approach for eternal association of Lord through pure devotees and by reading scriptures. Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. According to the Vedic version, Supreme Lord manifests and expands himself in innumerable expansion, of which the primary expansions are called Vishnu Tattva. And the secondary expansions are called the living entities. In other words, the Vishnu Tattva is the personal expansion and the living entities are separated expansions. By his personal expansion, he is manifested in various forms like Lord Ram, Narsingh, Vishnu, etc. and all the predominating deities in the Vaikunta planets. The separated expansion, the living entities, are eternally servitors. That is the constitutional position of our life. We are eternally servitor actually. Personal expansion of the Supreme Personal Godhead, the individual identities of the Godhead are always present. Similarly, the separated expansion of living entities have their identities. As fragmental parts and parcel of Supreme Lord, the living entities also have fragmental portion of its qualities. We have the same qualities as Lord Krishna, but in less quantities. Fragmental quantities, less quantities. Every living entity as an individual soul has its personal individuality and a minute form of independence. We have very limited independence. By misuse of that independence, one becomes a conditioned soul. We must have proper use of independence. Misuse of that independence can become a conditioned soul. By proper use of independence, the man is always in liberated condition. In either case, he is qualitatively eternal as the Supreme Lord is. In his liberated state, he is free from the material condition and he is under the engagement of the transcendental service under the Lord Krishna. In his conditioned life, he is dominated by the material modes of nature. And he forgets the transcendental loving service of the Lord Krishna. This is the major hurdle in the devotion service. One need not to forget the Lord Krishna. He has to remember all the time. As a result, he has to struggle very hard to maintain his existence in material world. Living entities, not only the human beings and the cats and dogs, but even the greater controllers of the material world, Brahma and Lord Shiva, and even the Vishnus, are all parts and parts of Supreme Lord. They are all eternal, not temporary manifestation. Conditioned soul is bound up as tough, shackled by iron chain. We are just shackled by iron chain. We cannot leave this physical world without devotion service actually. Because when we are engaged in devotion service, these shackles are loosened actually. And we are on the path of liberation actually. When the mind is in the mode of goodness, his activities are good. When the mind is in the mode of passion, his activities are troublesome. And when the mind is in the mode of ignorance, he travels in the lower species of life. It is clear that conditioned soul is covered by the material body with the mind and senses, and when he is liberated, this material covering perishes actually. But spiritual body manifests its individual capacity. Because of devotion service to Lord Krishna, living entity gives up this material embodiment and enters into the spiritual world. He revives his spiritual body, and in his spiritual body he can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. Hare Krishna. I think time is over, and this is regarding the importance of the soul and super soul actually. Any question you can ask actually. Hare Krishna, thank you very much.